Time. It's a man-made concept, so theoretically speaking, you could time travel. I guess in a way, time travel is watching videos that have occurred in the past, like what you're doing now. Everything's open to interpretation. This video is brought to us by TikTok user Junior Groff O Best Guitar Players, and in this video we cover the classic 1928 Charlie Chaplin film that seemingly captures a woman speaking on a cellular device. She's holding something up to her head as she walks by, kind of like we do with cell phones. The only case is in the 1920s there were no cell phones, let alone cell phone towers. So what's she doing? Some say she's crazy and she's just talking to her hand. Others say that this was a time traveler who got accidentally caught in the crowd. Personally, I don't know what to make of it. It's interesting, but I can't say for certain this is guaranteed to be a time traveler. This just happens to be a strange coincidence caught on camera. Do you have an explanation for what this person's doing? I sure don't, but I'd love to hear your opinion down below.
This footage was taken from the opening of a Charlie Chaplin film in 1928. As the camera pans in, a lady can be seen walking past chatting on another mobile phone. What do you think? Does this footage really prove that time travel exists?
This video is brought to us by TikTok user Quantum Frequency Healing, and in this video they cover the rather well-known story of the time traveler from Kyiv in Ukraine. Now the story goes essentially, this guy appears in the streets dressed in the 1950s clothing he has on with an old-timey camera. He seems confused and lost and essentially claims that he's not from our time. They developed the pictures on his camera and it turns out that not only pictures of him, but pictures that fit the era. He knows way too much information, like very specific information, to not just be a actor of sorts. What's even stranger is looking at his passport, it shows that it's from the Soviet Union, which essentially dissolved years later. Then the guy ends up vanishing after. It's a really interesting story. If you haven't heard it, you should definitely look it up. It's The Man from Kyiv.
In 2006, in the city of Kyiv, Ukraine, police were called to deal with a confused man. When they arrived, they found a young man who was scared, didn't know where he was, and was dressed in strange anachronistic clothing, carrying a camera. Little did they know that they were possibly standing face to face with an actual time traveler. The man's name was Sergei Ponomarenko, and when the police asked him for his ID, he handed it to them, and the first thing they noticed was that it was issued from a country that didn't exist anymore. The Soviet Union. Ukraine was of course part of the Soviet Union in the past, but the Soviet Union had dissolved almost a couple of decades ago at that point. So let's just say the police didn't see those IDs much anymore, especially on young people, and this guy looked like he was in his 20s. And yet his ID stated that his birth date was in 1932. And he matched the picture in the ID, so something didn't add up. When they asked him what day he thought it was, he answered April 23rd, 1958.
This video is brought to us by TikTok user Alex Shaw, and in this video Alex shows us video feed from his Ring camera at one of his rental properties in Florida. It's always Florida. And in Florida here we have a man who enters his shed and vanishes. Alex seems to think that this is a time traveler. He does show a clip where essentially the police come and show you that there's no one in the shed as they enter themselves. So the question is, where did this guy go? Now it's plausible that maybe there's some kind of secret tunnel or some kind of underground base that the shed is connected to. And maybe this guy knew about it and he's been kind of living it out there. And this is the first time that Alex caught him, but it's an interesting clip. Now this is part one of part two, but I'm not going to blue ball you and make you wait for both. So check out the first clip followed by the second clip for the entire clip.
This dude's coming onto my property to what looks like rob my house, but it actually turns out he is a time traveler. And let me show you that. I literally can't even make this up. Like if I wanted to make this up, it blows my mind. This just happened yesterday. So as you could see, he's wandering around my backyard. I don't know what he's trying to do. Now he's like thinking like where to go, and he actually ends up going into my shed. So you can see he opens it, goes into the shed. So I'm fast forwarding the time so you can see there's no movement. He never leaves the shed. And I'm talking on the camera. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you in my shed? Never answers. He never leaves the shed. I literally was watching it the whole time. So I end up calling the police. You could see in the last one, the police coming through the front yard. And then here's the police coming into the backyard. And you could see they literally go inside. They go inside and I'm talking to them. Then they go inside again. Like they're inside there. And they come out and he's not there. And like I've been watching this backdoor camera the whole entire time and he never left. I really watched the camera the whole time. He never left. Police didn't see him in there. And like it blows my mind. Like I don't know if there's a tunnel in my shed in the backyard. I don't know if he teleported. I don't know where this guy went or why he went in that shed. Let me know what you think. I wanted to see the full video of what this guy does before going into my shed and disappearing and teleporting, whatever. So this is the full video with sound. So you hear if he talks. He does talk at some point here. I've watched this so many times to see. But you can see him like wandering around. Like he throws up his arms. He's about to talk. See, he talks right there. He says, damn. Like, what is he looking for? Like, he's being super mysterious. And then he goes into the shed. So he's wandering around, then goes into the shed and closes the door there. So just for reference, this is what my backyard looks like. It is an Airbnb. I live 5 hours away. I can't go there and give you guys a tour of the shed, but I will be there in about a week. So I will do it then, but there's no windows, there's only one door, and the door latch is on the outside. So there's only one way to keep the door closed. So a lot of people were commenting saying, you know, the door opened again. Why is the door moving? And that's because the wind is moving the door and it's been very windy in Florida. Let me know what you think he was doing because he was looking pretty sus, wandering around like that. A lot of people.
This video is brought to us by TikTok user DeBurk, and in this video we have somebody who apparently got caught on camera filming the Tyson match from 1995 using a smartphone, or a device that happens to look like a smartphone. Pay close attention to the way they're holding this. It definitely looks like some kind of smartphone, be it Android or iPhone. These are what phones looked like back then, so it's obviously not one of these. And you can also see they show a camera that happens to look similar, and even with looking at it, why would they film it vertically like that? Then again, maybe they were ahead of their time. See, this is the camera that people mistake and think that's what it is, but it doesn't seem to match. To me, that looks like a white smartphone. If I had to guess, maybe an Apple 13. Maybe an Apple 14. I don't know. It's a strange one, though. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Is that a phone or a camera?
1995 boxing match between Mike Tyson and Peter McNeely, an audience member can be seen holding a very strange looking device. It appears that this man is recording the match with a smartphone. Obviously smartphones didn't exist in 1995, and camera phones weren't even introduced until 2000. The video was uploaded to YouTube and it blew up, getting around 5 million views. A lot of people claimed it was a 1995 Casio camera, but people have responded to this by stating that the colors aren't 100% similar, and also asking the question, why would he record vertically? But to be honest, why does anyone record vertically? In the 1990s,
This video is brought to us by TikTok user Lindsay Ivan, and in this video, she reposts a video from what looks to be maybe China or Korea, somewhere over the seas, of a man who claims he's in a time loop. Now, you have to read the subtitles, not those ones, but these ones, or else you can't really tell what's going on. But essentially, this guy has lived through this day 6 different times, and he thinks he's caught in a time loop, and every single time he happens to die, apparently this plane goes down. So he starts to make a panic and he tries to get off the plane hoping to break the time loop. We don't actually see him escape. There's talks of the cops coming, but we don't really get any farther. Now, this is not proof of time travel. It's just one concept where somebody claims this is happening to them. Without seeing a time machine or some kind of event to prove it, it's hard to go with this. It's more of just a word of mouth and you got to take it with a grain of salt.
What is going on? A passenger on a plane freaks out saying that he's stuck in a time loop. He said that this is his 6th time in this cycle of the time loop. Every single time the plane crashes, everyone dies, and then he's back to the beginning. Check out the video.
바로 别着急啊你！没事。警察你怕什么呀？对呀，我操，这么多人在这。出开！赶出开！赶紧给家里人打电话，跟妈妈一样。
太吓人了！这个抵抗，这里是雾能广播，请您在座位上坐好，不必惊慌，感谢您的配合。
打死！他妈的，重开！不想重开吗？对不对？一辈子给他妈努力挣打工。我不干，他妈才不要的。你们要是找老子，老子给你更多钱。我也不看人。你们家，他妈一条贱命有那么贵吗？想想。
Well, we made it to the end of this video, but this is just part 1 of part 2. I actually had a couple more clips, but I decided instead of putting out a 20-minute video, I'd spread them out over the weekend, so tune in tomorrow for part 2.